So in this lecture, we will do neon-tip input-output analysis. So most of you people have done partial equilibrium analysis, general equilibrium analysis. So in the partial equilibrium analysis, we look at single market. Okay. So each market is independent of other market. But in general equilibrium, we look at all the market together. Okay. So when we have equilibrium in on the market, we say that economy has achieved general equilibrium. Okay. So we do this simple model. If you remember, in the general equilibrium, we have two factor of production producing two goods. Okay. And it is distributed among two consumer or agent. So you have two factor of production, captain and neighbor, producing two goods X and Y. Okay. And it is distributed among two consumer A and B. Right. So how many market you have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. We have 4 market here. So we will achieve general equilibrium when we have equilibrium in this 4 market. Okay. But in case of partial equilibrium, when we are looking at capital market, okay, we look capital market in isolation. Okay. We will not look at neighbor and this two good market. Okay. So in partial equilibrium, we can have equilibrium in capital market. Okay. But in this 3 market, we may or may not have equilibrium. Okay. So partial equilibrium is a general narrow analysis, and general equilibrium is a complex analysis. Okay. Where we want equilibrium in on the market simultaneously. So yeah, here I am looking at production market also. Okay. The factor of production, okay, is used for the production process. Okay. These are input, and we are looking at goods market also. Okay. So when on this market I in equilibrium, okay, I repeat again, when on this market I in equilibrium, then only we will achieve general equilibrium analysis. Okay. So those who not have done this general equilibrium analysis, they have done Sirkunov in their introductory macroeconomics. So I am doing 2 by 2. Okay. You have household and you have firms, right? So household supply factor of production to firm, okay, and in return get remuneration in terms of wage, interest, rent, and profit. Okay, and whatever goods is produced is sold to the household, and household pay for that goods. Okay, so this is a general framework also that we have. Okay, in the Sirkunov that you people have done. So in input output analysis, okay, what we are doing is that we are doing general equilibrium analysis. Okay, but it is not as complex as developed by Wonders. Okay, so the 2 by 2 by 2 example that I have given, okay, is a Wonderian framework. In case of input output analysis, okay, we are only looking at production side. Okay, we are looking at only production side. So this input output analysis, okay, is a general equilibrium analysis, but it is a simplified version. Here we are only looking at production side. Okay, and first systematic format of this input output analysis was given by neon-tip. Okay, so remember this name, neon-tip. That is why it is called neon-tip input output matrix. Okay, on analysis. Okay, so what is input output analysis? Input output analysis is a general equilibrium analysis, okay, which only look at production side. Okay, and you know in general equilibrium, when I am talking about that, this already. So when I am talking that simultaneous equilibrium must take place for general equilibrium. Okay, so here we are not looking each market in isolation. Okay, all markets are interdependent. So when we are doing input output analysis, so whatever industry we are taking, whatever industry or sector, they are interdependent. Okay, so take Sen here. In Asansol, we have Sen, right? Then we have Poneri, Con industry, Sen industry. Sen is producing steel, and Con is producing energy, suppose. And then you have transportation, railway and other transportation, right? So in Asansol, these 3 things is the backbone, okay, of industry. So same is producing steam. Okay, so what, when we say interdependency aspect, what we mean is that each sector is dependent on other sector and on its same also. Like Sen is producing steam, it also required steam. Okay, for its plant also, to revamp its plant is required some part of its own production also. Okay, is required coal also as a source of energy, transportation also. So whatever output is produced, it want to source it out, so it need transportation. Or if it require raw material, it need transportation. Okay, so coal also it required same. Okay, so for making a storehouse. Okay, so there is a interdependency of on these three sector. Okay, this sector required corn also for its own requirement. Okay, so when we look at sector together, okay, we are talking about interdependency. Okay, sometimes they will be using their own own product as input, sometimes they are not using also. Okay, so you can consider the case where some sector is producing the goods where it is not using their own goods. Okay, that thing we will also consider. So first, what is the structure that Neontip has presented? We will look at that thing. Okay, and then we will develop the model 2 by 2. That is in our course. Okay, so what is Neontip input output analysis? Okay, so Neontip input output is a general equilibrium analysis that look at only production side. Okay, and in that we are looking at interdependency of the sector or industry. Okay, so we have interdependency of sector and industry. And what is the purpose of doing this input output analysis? It helps in empirical study. Okay, so when you want to forecast, because there is a interdependency. Okay, if one sector or one industry is making changes in its input, okay, then it will have impact on other industry also. Okay, so how other industry will change their input, okay, according to change in the condition of one industry. Okay, so it look at spillover effect. I am not going detail into spillover effect. Okay, and ripple effect also. Okay, so it look at spillover effect of one industry on another industries. Whatever industries you have that are interconnected, we look this kind of thing. Okay, and how industry should forecast, what kind of decision they should take. Okay, we do by using input output analysis. Okay, so this is quantitative measurement also. Okay, here we will quantify. So this is one of the important aspect of input output analysis, that we are able to quantify, okay, and forecast what will be my demand for product internally also and externally also. Okay, based on changes in one industry input. Okay, input output decision, whatever they are taking. Okay, so what is input output analysis? It is a general equilibrium analysis. Okay, we are doing quantitative analysis. We are only looking at production side. Okay, and here we are doing forecasting, and it is a simplified version of general equilibrium analysis. We are only looking at production side. Okay, after that introduction we will look at the assumption. Okay, so assumption will be from production side, input side. Let me check recording. Okay, demand side, and what kind of economy we are considering, dynamic economy or static economy. So we have to look at on this aspect. So generally we simplified the thing. Okay, and then we want to analyze what is happening. So production side, the assumption is made that each industry produces homogeneous good. Okay, so we are looking at industry that are making homogeneous good. Okay, so it is not that it is not like a monopolistic competition. Okay, where there will be product differentiation. So if you have industry for good X, so all the firms in that industry are making same product, identical product. Okay, you know what kind of market structure is the background. Okay, so you have linear homogeneous production function. Okay, So what do we mean by linear homogeneous production function? So linear homogeneous production function basically means that percentage change in input is equal to percentage change in output. Okay. So you know this thing. That when percentage change in input equal percentage change in output, you will have constant return to scale. So linear homogeneous production function basically means that in this framework, input output analysis, we are assuming constant return to scale. Okay. Then from production side, we have made the assumption that each industry is making homogeneous product and there is a constant return to scale. Okay. So size of the firm not matter. When we have constant return to scale, size of the firm not matter. Okay. Now coming to input. Okay. So each industry is using fixed and constant amount of input per unit of output. Okay. This is very important assumption. We will derive it. Okay. And this is for, okay, from this whatever elements we get, okay, we will construct technology matrix or input output matrix. Okay, by using this assumption. So each industry is using fixed and constant amount of input per unit of output. Okay. This assumption, I repeat again, this assumption that each industry is using constant or fixed amount of input per unit of output. I am talking per unit of output. Okay. Remember, in microeconomics, I repeat this thing many times, per unit of output. Okay. So we will use this thing to construct our input output matrix also. Okay. Now demand side I will come. Okay. Later on. Now coming to the economy. So in this framework, Leontief has considered static economy. Why economy? So static economy basically means here is that on the variable that we have, okay, we are referring to the same time period. Okay, we are not referring to the past time period t-1 or future time period t+1. Okay, on the variable are belonging to this time period. Okay, now demand. From demand side, I will explain more later on. So demand, you have two sides. One, because all the industries are interrelated, so a part of demand will be internal demand. Okay, so each industry, okay, is using output of other industry as input. Okay, as well as using its own output as input. Okay, so you have internal demand and you have external demand. Okay, so external demand in the model is given. Okay, so what we have done, okay, let me summarize you. So what is input output analysis? It is a quantitative measurement, okay, based on general equilibrium framework, where we only look at production side, okay, and it is useful to do empirical studies. Okay. And what are the assumptions? It is based on very simplified assumption. We make assumption on production inputs, okay, and your demand side, finite demand, okay, and on the time period, okay, or you can say economy. So from the production front, what we are saying is that each industry is producing homogeneous product and there is a constant return to scale. Okay, and inputs, each industry is using fixed and constant amount of each input per unit of output. Okay, and this will help us construct our technology matrix or input output matrix. Okay, third, demand, you have internal demand, okay, and second is external demand. Internal demand we will talk later on. External demand is given in the model already. Okay, it is a given thing, it is a constant, okay, that is given to us. Okay, then we have economy. This is a static framework because on the variable that we have taken, okay, has the same time period. There is no t-1 or t+1, okay, variable in it. So let me check the recording one time. Okay. So what is the criticism of this model? This model is very useful. Okay, Leontief, even for his many work, he has won Nobel Prize in 1951. This is one of his work. So the main criticism is that it is different from Warner's general equilibrium analysis. Okay, so in Warner's we are looking at all the markets simultaneously, whether they are in equilibrium or not. Here we are only looking at production side. Okay, it is a simplified version of general equilibrium analysis, okay, and emphasizes fewer phenomena. It emphasizes very few phenomena than what you have in general equilibrium analysis. Okay, so these are some of the criticism of input-output analysis. Okay, so let me develop 2 by 2 model. Okay, put up a simple structure of 2 by 2 model. Okay, then we will do some example, then it will be clear. Okay, so let me rub it and then I will come back again. We are doing input-output analysis. Okay, and most of you know that total supply equal total demand. Okay, so in basic economics, all of you have done total supply equal total demand. Okay, here we will elaborate that thing, that concept. Okay, because in general equilibrium framework there is a interdependency between industries. Okay, and part of the interdependency is arises because they have internal consumption. Each industry depend on other industries. Okay, they require inputs of other industry. Okay, apart from their own industry, they require input from other industries. So there is a internal demand within the system or within the model. Okay, so we know total production equal total demand. Okay, and total production I denote by X. Okay, and total demand, okay, I have divided into two parts: internal consumption demand and external demand. External demand is given to you people. Okay, it is a assumption. So now look at internal demand. So industry 1, okay, it is producing X1 output. So X1 is the total production of industry 1. Okay, so in order to produce this X1 unit of output, okay, it is using inputs from its own industry and inputs from second industry also. Similarly, second industry, when it wants to produce X2 output, okay, this is the total output, okay, total output of industry 2, it is using input of its own industry and input of first industry. Okay, and these two will determine my total production. So X is a vector matrix or production matrix that determine my total production. So this is my total production matrix. Okay, because we are looking at 2 by 2 model. In your syllabus you have 2 by 2 model. Okay, so let me explain this thing, then it will be more clear. So this is industry 1. Okay, so industry 1, okay, which is output of industry 1, okay, as input of industry 1. So let me explain what is this. So output of industry 1 is used, okay, by industry 1 or used or consumed by industry 1. Okay, and second number, output of industry 1, okay, used as intermediate input by industry 2. This is what output of industry 1 used by industry 1, okay, as an intermediate goods to produce this final output. This is what output of industry 1 used by industry 2, okay, I repeat again, output of industry 1, okay, used by industry 2 to produce final output. This is used by industry 2 and this is the final output of industry 2. Okay, now you will ask me 1 1 1 2, how we will know? So you have done matrix. This is row 1, this is row 2, this is column 1, this is column 2. So 1 1 1 2, then you will write here 2 1 2 2. Okay, I will explain you this box. Okay, what I have written here. So understand the interpretation. Okay, so this is the total production of industry 1. Okay, this is the total production of industry 2. Okay, so X1 is the total production of industry 1 and X2 is the total production of industry 2. So this is the total production of industry 1 and this is the total production of industry 2. Okay, so when industry 1 is making production decision, it is using its own output as input and the output of second industry as input. Okay, so when I write X11, so output of industry 1 used by industry 1 as input, output of industry 2, okay, used by industry 1 as input, okay, in order to produce this much unit. So in order to produce this much amount, X1 amount, okay, industry 1 is using the amount of output, okay, of industry 1 used as an intermediate, I am repeating, used as an intermediate consumption, okay, or used as an intermediate input by industry 1. The amount of output of second industry used by first industry as an intermediate input, okay, in order to produce this much output. So this is the interpretation, okay, of X11, X21. So let me do it here. So amount of output of second industry used by first industry in order to produce this one, this much output, okay. Amount of output of second industry used by second industry in order to produce X2 amount of output, okay. So second industry, okay, is using its own output as input and output of first industry as input, okay. So let me write this thing here again, then it will be easy for you to remember. X12, X22. How I can interpret this Xij? Let me check. So output of ith industry use as intermediate input, use or consume you can write, okay, use or consume by ith industry, okay, in order to produce their final output, okay, in order to produce their final output. So output of first industry use as intermediate inputs or consumed by first industry in order to produce final output, okay. So output of first industry used by first industry in order to produce final output, output of first industry used by second industry in order to produce final output, okay. Output of second industry output, and this second industry is output is used by first industry in order to produce final output, which is X1, okay. Output of second industry used by second industry in order to produce final output, it is this one, okay. So when we look at row, okay, when we look at row, it represents production of respective industry. I will explain, okay. When we look at column, it represents consumption of respective industry. That will be clear, okay. Wait. So write down this thing, okay. Look at here. So amount of output of first industry used by first industry, amount of output of first industry used by second industry. So both are first industry output used by first industry, here used by second industry. So row represent, okay, row represent respective industry output that form part of internal demand, okay, that form part of internal consumption demand, okay, internal consumption demand. Now look at this one in row. output of second industry. Okay, output of second industry used by first industry, output of second industry used by second industry. So this is the respective row elements, okay, of second industry, and this represent output of second industry. Okay, and this output form a part of internal consumption demand. Okay, this is clear. Now one important concept that I am going to do, then you have external demand. Okay, before I do external demand, let me explain quantum also. So rho you know. Okay, so rho represent respective industry internal demand. Okay, whatever internal demand they have, if we add up rho, we will know. I repeat again. So output of first industry used by first industry plus output of first industry used by second industry give me internal consumption demand. Okay, when you add up these two things, it will give me internal consumption demand. And total output, okay, if we have external demand positive, if this is positive, total output will be more than this. Wait, I will explain. Okay, so you are producing out, you are using input on industry output as input, and output of other industry as input. Okay, so you are producing certain amount of output. Okay, and this output is partly you are consuming and other industry is consuming. If there is some positive thing in left out, okay, and taking care of your external demand, this term will be positive D1, this term will be positive D2 for second industry also. Okay, so this model where you have positive external demand given, okay, this is open economy model. Okay, or open input output model, better, open input output model. Okay, and when this external demand is zero, then this external demand is zero. Okay, so whatever this term is zero, okay, d term is zero. Okay, so whatever demand that is generating is only for intermediate thing. So industry 1 is producing output x1. Okay, part of the output it used to produce this one, part is borrowed from second industry to produce this much output. Okay, and when it produces this much output, when I add the total output of industry 1, this and this I add up, because external demand is zero, it will be equal to its total production of industry 1. Similarly for industry 2, but this is Knowles model. Okay, so when you put external demand 0, it is called Knowles model. So in the Knowles model, okay, we only have internal consumption demand, there is no external demand. So if we are in a 2 by 2 model, so there is a 2 industry that are producing 2 output. Okay, so they are demanding output of other industry as well as they are demanding their own output as input. Okay, so their demand is such that, okay, they are making total production equal to total internal demand. Okay, so everything is made internally, they are not producing anything for external sector. Okay, there is nothing they are producing for external to meet the external demand. Okay, so in a closed economy, your external demand will be 0. In open economy, this will be some positive number, D1, D2, okay, and given to us D1, D2. Now, okay, I need to explain column also. So row represent your production of industry 1, production of industry 2. Second row represent production of industry. Now look at column. Okay, so output of industry 1 used by industry 1, output of industry 2 used by industry 1. One more interpretation, output of industry 1 consumed by industry 1, output of industry 2 consumed by industry 1. Okay, so column represent consumption of industry. Okay, consumption of industry. Like for second industry, output of first industry consumed by industry 2. Output of second industry consumed by industry 2. So this represent consumption, okay, and this represent demand or production. Output of first industry used by first industry, okay. This is the output. This is the output used by as an intermediate input. Okay, this is the demand, and this is the external demand. We add up these three things to get total production. Okay. I hope things are clear. So when this is positive, this is open model. Okay. You can say. So after this, let me give you some notation. Okay, then it will be easy. So this is the amount. Okay, we have to construct technology matrix from this one. Let me see. Okay. Now I move this thing. And this external demand is represented by D. Okay, capital D. And since we are considering two sectors, so I will write D1, D2. Okay. And production, total production, I will write X1 and X2. Okay. In a quantum matrix form. Okay. Or you can say quantum vector also, no problem. So you have this thing here. Now I have to construct input-output matrix. Okay. Or technology matrix. So one of the assumption is that each industry will use fixed or constant amount of input per unit of output. Okay. So this is the total output, and these are the input used by industry. Okay. This is the consumption of industry 1. So industry 1 is consuming these ones in order to produce this much output, right? So I need to convert this into per unit term. Similarly, industry 2 is consuming this much in order to produce this much output. Okay. So now next task is to make technology matrix or input-output matrix. Okay, input-output matrix. What output of first industry used by first industry, output of first industry used by second industry. Okay, and this is demand from first industry. So when we add up these three things, we get total production of good one. So I can write it here like this. X11, output of first industry used or consumed by first industry, output of first industry used by second industry, and then demand, external demand from first industry. Okay. So this is total production of first industry equal total demand of first industry. This is internal consumption demand. This is external demand. Okay. Second, production of second industry. Okay. Equal output of second industry used by first industry minus output of second industry used by second industry minus demand, external demand of second industry. Okay. So we add up, we get total production of second industry equal to total demand of second industry, and this is your internal consumption demand. So in closed framework, this D will be 0 in closed model. This is open model where you have external demand, some positive number. Okay. So interpretation is clear, and we will construct our matrix. Okay. Technology matrix or input output matrix. Okay. And the formula for this one is Aij equal this one Xij over Xj. Okay. The output of first industry, okay, consumed by, better is speaking Ij form, that is going to be easy. So output of IH industry used by JF industry, okay, divided by, this is total output of that JF industry. Okay. Let me write it here. So I am making technology matrix, and this is the formula of technology matrix. Let me write here. Okay. This is the formula of technology matrix. A, we will denote by Aij technology matrix, the thing that we will get from here, equal Xij. This Xj represent production of that industry. So if I write X1, this represent production of industry 1, okay, and this represent output of ith industry, okay, used by jth industry. So let me construct here first, second industry, first, second industry. Okay. Now, so when we want to convert to per unit term, okay, what we do? When you want to do a per unit term, remember total revenue is price into quantity. So we divide by Q, then we get average revenue. So average revenue is per unit, right? So here also we divided this thing. Okay. Output of first industry used by first industry, output of second industry used by first industry. So in order to produce this much output, consumption of first industry is this two. Okay. So I need to make the input consumption, okay, the respective industry input consumption, okay, for industry 1 in per unit term. So I will divide by total output. And this one also I will divide by total output. So this represents consumption for industry 1 in order to produce this much output. Okay. So just do it. So this is X11 divided by X1. This is X21 divided by X1. Okay. Similarly, output of first industry consumed by industry 2 in order to produce this much. This is the total consumption. Consumption. Output of second industry used by second industry. Okay. In order to produce this much output, so we will divide this thing by X12 divided by X2. X22 divided by X2, and we use this formula. Okay. So this will give us A11, okay, A21, this is A12, this is A22. Okay. So now I convert this into per unit term. Okay. So let me rub this thing. So on this elements of technology matrix or input output matrix, technology matrix, and this is the notation Aij, okay, and we take it by Xij over Xj. Okay. So this is what? Amount of output of industry 1, okay, used by industry 1 to produce X1 unit of output. Okay. So when you are producing X1 unit of output, okay, when you are producing X1 unit of output, you require this much of inputs from your own industry. Okay. So when you are producing 1 unit of output, you will require this much input from your own industry and be represented by A11. Okay. So what will be the interpretation of Aij? Okay. So it is, So in order to produce 1 unit of output, okay, of industry 1, how much inputs you require? Okay, how much input you require? So write down, in order to produce 1 unit of output, how much input is required? In order to produce 1 unit of output, okay, in order to produce 1 unit of output, how much input is required? Now look at this thing. So in order to produce x1 unit of output, you require x21 amount of inputs from second industry. Okay, so amount of output is required from second industry. Okay, amount of output required from second industry as an input for first industry. So when you want to produce 1 unit, it will be x21 divided by x1. This will be a21. This you get. So in order to produce 1 unit of output, okay, 1 unit of output, how much input you require from second industry is a21. Okay, so in order to produce 1 unit of output of industry 1, how much input you require from industry 1? A11. In order to produce 1 unit of output of industry 1, how much input you require from second industry? A21. Okay, because this is in conjunction of industry 1. So in order to produce 1 unit of output of industry 2, okay, 1 unit of output for industry 2, how much input you require? Given by this coefficient A12. Okay, so in order to produce 1 unit of output of industry 2, okay, how much input you require from industry 2? Given by this coefficient A22. Okay, so write down this thing. So this is the interpretation of your technology matrix. Okay, so what we have done in the EML, and now I will summarize the argument. Okay, let me write this in matrix form. Okay, this is your input output matrix. Okay, so A11, A12, A21, A22, this you know, and this matrix I denote by A. Okay, this thing. So this will be your A matrix. Let me write it down. A11, A12, A21, A22, and the interpretation I have given you. Okay. What is Xij? I have written that thing, but I think I have written there is one notation issue when I have written, if I remember correctly, because when I am rubbing it I remember. So this Xij is amount of output of ith industry used by jth industry. Let me check it. Amount of output of ith industry used by jth industry. Yeah. Amount of output of ith industry or output of ith industry used, consumed by jth industry. Okay. So previously I just write ith. Okay. So just correct it. Just 5-10 minutes before. Okay. I think so. So this is the coefficient that I have. Okay. And I know how I get this coefficient, like A11. So in order to produce x1, okay, you require this much amount of input from industry 1. Okay, so in order to produce 1 unit, how much you require? x11 over x1, and this is denoted by A11 here. Okay, similarly when you want to produce x1 unit of total output. Okay, this is industry 1 total output is required x21 output industry used by first industry. Okay, x21 unit divided by, okay, so in order to produce this much output you require this much input, okay, from second industry. So in order to produce 1 unit you require x21 divided by x1, this will be a21. Okay, so what is your x11 here? X11 is a11 x1, right? What is your x21 here? It is a21 x1. Right? Remember that when I write this one 1, 2, industry 1, industry 2, and this is the final demand, okay, external demand, okay. So I write here x11, x12, x21, x22, right? So remember row, column. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. This is no problem. This is external demand 1, this is external demand 2, okay. So row represent output of first industry. Easy way to remember is that. Row represent output of first industry and is form a part of your internal demand. Okay. So if you are getting confused when I am saying form a part of your consumer internal demand, okay, just leave that part of the statement. Okay. So row form. Remember the equation that I give you. So this form part of your represent production of industry 1. How? See, output of first industry used by first industry, output of first industry used by second industry, output of first industry used as an external demand. Okay, so this is the output of first industry. So row represent output of first industry. Similarly, this row represent output of second industry. Okay, write down easy simplified version. So let me use another pen. So row represent output of respective industry. Output of respective industry. Okay, I just explain this thing to you. Output of second industry used by first industry. Okay, output of second industry used by second industry. So this is the output of second industry used by first industry, second industry, and this is external demand. This form part of your output of first industry or second industry. Okay. So row represent output of respective industry. Okay. And when your final demand is 0, we are in a Conoge model. Now column. Column represent consumption of respective industry. Okay. So column represent consumption of respective industry. So first column represent consumption of first industry, second column represent consumption of second industry. Okay. Let me explain you one. Output of first industry consumed by first industry, output of second industry consumed by first industry. So it is a represent consumption. Okay. So in X11 place, if I substitute with this one, okay, so this thing means the same thing. So in order to take out this one, what I have done, I divided by this one, total output. Let me write it directly. So I divided by x1, this x1, right? Then I get this thing. See here. So this thing is coming out A11, A21. Okay. I divided just by x11 both sides. I get it. Okay. In order to convert this into per unit term. That means how much? In order to produce 1 unit of output, how much I required input from first industry and how much input I required from second industry. Okay, this is clear. So this is my coefficient matrix for production. Okay, and it form part of my internal demand also. Okay, if you are getting confused with form part of my internal demand, so just remember that it is an intermediate input in order to produce your final output that you produce x1 x2. Okay, so I rub this thing out. Okay, so A matrix, you know, and X matrix, because it is 2 by 2 production matrix, you know, x1 x2, and demand matrix you also know, I write it out only, d1 d2. This is open model. In closed model it will be 0. Okay, so I start this session by saying that total production equal total demand, right? And total demand, you have internal demand plus external demand, and this is a component of my internal demand. Okay, if you remember, I write this thing, output of first industry equal this thing, output of first industry, I add the row thing, output of first industry used by second industry plus demand of first industry, output of second thing, just add the row thing, output of second industry used by first industry plus output of second industry used by second industry plus external demand, right? This you all know that we have done. I said this is part of your internal demand. Okay, so from this thing I have taken out this thing, right? So next we have to know how we can solve this problem. So we know X. Okay, we know in place of internal demand what we will write, external demand we will write d1 d2. Okay, so X total production equal, okay, this is your part of internal demand. Okay, whatever will be here plus your external demand. Let me write d1 d2. Okay, so I will write this coefficient matrix here, A11, A12, A21, A22, and it is a coefficient of original production that is taking place. So let me give you some logic behind why I am writing this here. We are going to use in the input output analysis. Okay, let me drag that thing. So before that, let me give you one thing, tell you one thing. This is your total production. Okay, total production, or you can say gross output. Okay, gross output, and this can be represented in this form: x1, x2. Output of first industry and output of second industry. Okay, so from total production, okay, when you subtract internal consumption, I will give you the formula now how we can take out internal consumption. When you subtract internal consumption, what you will have? You will have, when from total production equal to total demand, right? From total production, when you subtract internal demand or internal consumption, you will have external demand. Okay, external demand. So we are going to derive formula for this thing, and formula how we can use input output analysis using matrix method. Okay. So let me this thing. Okay. So this is total production equal to total demand, and total demand is divided into two parts. Okay. So we are going to take out gross demand. Okay, gross demand of industry 1. Okay. So if you remember that, this is your output of this is industry 1, this is industry 2, 1, 2, and this is demand. Okay, and this is total. This is external demand. We write by capital D. Okay, and this is total output. Total output. Okay. So we write this one x11, x12, d1, x21, x22, d2. Okay. So here this row represent output of first industry. The output of first industry used by first industry, output of first industry used by second industry, plus external demand from first industry. This is output of second industry used by first industry, output of second industry used by second industry, plus external demand. Okay, from second industry. So when we add these three things up, we will get gross demand for first industry, and this will be gross demand for second industry. Okay. So the video that I have sent, what I have done, I add like this and then this. Okay. So that is a mistake. I don't know. This happened. Okay. So gross demand, okay, of industry 1 is x11 plus x12 plus d1. Okay. So you know what is x11, right? So should I take it out? Okay, this one you know we take it out, right? This is when divide by x1, this by x1, we get this as a11, we get this as a second one, first one, and this 2 we divide by x2, right? So let me write this thing again. I need a bit more space. Okay, then it will. When I write there, then it will be more clear. So we are going to take out internal demand matrix. Okay, external demand you know. Okay, x you know, and external demand you know, x you know. Okay, and we have taken out technology matrix. This thing you know, I just write it out. This is first, this is second. Okay, first and second. This is x11, x12, x21, x22, and this is demand, external demand d1, d2. This is total, or you can x total production of industry 1, and this is total production of industry 2. This represents the consumption of industry 1. Okay, so when I divide by industry 1 total output, I will get per unit use of both inputs, input from industry 1, input from industry 2, A21, and similarly here I will divide with industry 2. This represents consumption of industry 2, x2, I will get A first row second column, A first row second column. Okay, let me take out this demand. Let me write it into it. Okay. This is your external demand D1, D2. Okay. So in case of x11, what I can write? A11 into x1, right? So write it out. A11 x1. Instead of this is output demand of industry 1 by industry 2. So I can write A12 x2, A12 x2 plus D1. Okay, this is the gross demand from industry 1. Okay, what I have done? I have done this thing, A11 plus A21 D1. Okay, that is wrong. I am taking a gross output demand. Okay, so if formula will be like this. Okay. Similarly for industry 2, when you write, it will be A21 x1 plus A22 x2 plus D2. Okay. A21 x1, A12 x2 plus D2. Okay. Now this component, okay, I write down here. So I have no use of this one. Okay, I take out this one and I take out this thing also. Okay. So this part, okay, represent your internal consumption demand. Okay, and you have done the matrix thing, right? Remember when I am doing the inverse of a matrix, I have given a system, then I write that thing in matrix form. So we will write this equation in matrix form. Okay. So this will be x1 x2 equal, just see this part. Okay, this part I want to write this two equation in matrix form. Okay, so this will be A11 A12 A21 A21 A22. Okay, and this will be x1 or total output of industry 1, total output of industry 2. Okay, so this is when you are producing 1 unit of output of industry 1, this much you require, okay, of industry 1, and this much you require from industry 2. Okay, in order to produce 1 unit of output of industry 1. Okay, so this represents coefficient. In order to produce 1 unit of output of industry 1, A11 unit of output of industry 1 you require, and A21 unit of output of industry 2 you require, because column represent consumption. Okay, and we have converted that in per unit term. And this one is external demand, I will write separately, D1 D2. Okay, so this is X equal, this is A matrix into X plus D. Okay, so X is equal A X plus D. Okay, from here on I think let me check. Okay, from here, okay, most of the part is correct. So let me write this here in more elaborate form. So I get output of industry 1, output of industry 2. This is my total production, and this is coefficient matrix. Okay, represent how much input I required from each industry to produce 1 unit of output. I required this much input from industry 1, this much input from industry 2 in order to produce 1 unit of output of industry 1. Okay, that A12 A22. I require this much input from industry 1, this much input from industry 2 in order to produce 1 unit of output of industry 2. Okay, x1 x2 plus D1 D2. Okay, so now X equal AX plus D. So this is 2 by 2 and order will be 2 by 1. Okay, so I am taking this one this side. Okay, or subtracting both sides by AX. Okay, so X minus AX, put identity matrix. Okay, equal D. Okay, now order will be same, you can check it. So I can apply the matrix property. Okay, and I can take out this X matrix outside. Okay, just check the order, then you will know. It's simple. I have put up the order already. Okay, then this will be equal to D, and you know A into A inverse equal I. Okay, So multiply both side by I minus A inverse, pre-multiply. Okay. So I minus A inverse into I minus A into X equal I minus A into D inverse. I pre-multiply both side by I minus A inverse. Okay. So what this means? A into A inverse is identity matrix. It will be identity matrix of 2 by 2 order. We are looking at 2 by 2 order into X equal I minus A inverse into D. D is my constant matrix given in the model. Okay. So what I can write from here? I can write with X equal I minus A inverse D. So we will solve our input output analysis using this method. Okay. So when we are solving system of linear equation, so we use the inverse rule. Okay. So what you have to do? X equal A inverse into B. Okay. I hope this formula is correct. Let me check. Okay. So this X you write down 1 over determinant of A into adjoint of A into B, right? So in place of A inverse, you need to take out 1 minus A inverse. So whatever A matrix you have, whatever 2 by 2, okay, take not 1, sorry, I, this is I, okay, I. So identity matrix minus A, okay. So whatever you get, say this A prime, okay, you need to take out the inverse of this one. And in a 2 by 2, it is easy to take out adjoint of A. Okay. Reverse the principal diagonal and change the sign of your reverse diagonal. Okay. Change the position of your principal diagonal. Okay. And reverse diagonal, just change the sign. Then you will get adjoint of A. So here also, you have to take out this thing. So it will be X equal this thing inverse. So 1 over 1 minus A, I minus A, not 1, I minus A determinant into adjoint of I minus A, this is identity matrix. Okay, you have to take out adjoint of this into your this final demand. Okay, so by using this formula, you can derive the solution for input-output matrix. Okay. So we will do some problem, then it will be clear. Okay. So next session we will do some problem. So before we do some numerical, okay. So let's look at some of the aspect, okay, and Hawkins-Simon condition. Okay. Then we will do some numerical of 2 by 2 matrix or 2 by 2 system. Okay. So this X represent your total production. Okay. So this is your gross output. So when you subtract your consumption matrix, intermediate consumption matrix, you will get net production. Okay. And this is called consumption matrix AX. I just name the terminology. Okay. This X is called production matrix. This is called consumption matrix. So when you subtract, you will know your final demand, external demand. If it is 0, then it is a closed system. In a closed system, you will have no external demand. Okay. And gross output, I have written this, and I told you people that this is important formula. Remember that. Okay. So this is the output of first industry. Okay. It is a combination of output of first industry used by first industry, output of first industry used by second industry. Okay. Plus some external demand. Similarly, for this one also, this is the total output of second industry. Okay. And this represents gross demand for second industry. Okay, and net production is represented by x minus ax, and this is in matrix form. Okay, what is Hawking-Simon condition? Okay, so this gives us the feasibility condition. So when we have equilibrium, okay, so you can say existence criteria. This is the existence criteria. Okay, so what it says is that is guarantee the existence of a non-negative output. Okay, and solve the equilibrium relation in the input-output matrix where demand equal to supply. So this gives us two conditions. If that two condition is satisfied, okay, that means solution to that input-output matrix will have. If that two conditions will be violated, then we will not have solution for that input-output matrix. Okay, where demand equal to supply. Okay, that is the case. What are those two feasibility conditions? Let me write it out. Okay. The first feasibility condition is that this matrix, okay, the determinant of this matrix must be positive. Must be positive. Okay. Then only you can guarantee to have non-negative output in equilibrium where demand equal to supply. Okay. And second feasibility condition, both conditions need to be satisfied together. Okay, is that diagonal elements based on the principal diagonal elements of I minus A. I is the identity matrix. A is 2 by 2 square matrix must be positive. Matrix must be positive. So let's elaborate this thing. This is clear, right? Determinant of I minus A must be positive, and if it's come out to be negative, okay, then we cannot have solution. Okay, so this gives us the feasibility of the solution and the existence of a non-negative output in our input-output analysis. So this is your 1 0 0 1. This is your identity matrix. Okay, this is A11, A12, A21, A22, right? This will be 1 minus A11 minus A12. This will be minus A21, and this will be 1 minus A22. Okay. So see, basically what is this? This is in per unit term. Okay. So how much unit of output, for producing 1 unit of output, how much input you required from first industry. Okay. So in order to produce 1 unit of output, if you require more than 1 unit of input, okay, then you will get a negative output. There is a case chances that you will get negative output. Okay. So in order to produce 1 unit of output, how much unit of input you require from industry 1? Okay. For industry 1, that is this case. Okay. So if you are taking more than 1 unit of output, this will be negative. So there is a chances that you will get negative output. This condition says that these diagonal elements must be positive. Okay, the diagonal element of matrix must be positive, and the determinant, because your formula is this. If you remember, this is Hawking-Simon condition statement, and this is the feasibility condition. Okay, write it out. Okay. So what I am saying. Feasibility condition. Okay. Just keep my mind what I want to speak. So let me check the video. Okay, then I come back. What I want to speak. I am saying that determinant must be positive also. Okay, why? Because your formula is this, right? X square I minus A, okay, inverse of this matrix into D. So this is easy to take out. Okay, we have done it several times. You can also do it. This is what 1 over determinant of this matrix. Okay, adjoint of this matrix. Okay, this matrix adjoint into D. So, because we are talking about output, so determinant must be positive. Okay, determinant must be positive. This is the first condition that needs to be satisfied. Second condition, diagonal elements, okay, must be positive in the matrix. So Hawkins-Simons is a feasibility condition that gives us the existence of equilibrium, okay, in input-output analysis where demand equals supply. Okay, so this is the two conditions that you people should check. If there is a, I ask you to check the Hawkins-Simons condition. So check determinant is positive or not. Second thing, check the two element. Okay, diagonal element. When you take out this thing, I minus a, both are matrix. Okay, so check out this diagonal element. It must be non-negative. Then your Hawkins-Simons condition will be satisfied. Okay, so let me do one 2x2 exercise. This I have taken from one mathematics for economics book, D.R. Agavan, okay, 2x2, and this is page number 524. I am using. Okay. And since your syllabus have 1 2x2, so we will do 1 2x2. Okay. Question is I have written questions. Okay. So find the following technology matrix, gross output of each industry. Okay. And second part of the question is that finance demand changed to 18 and 44. Okay. For industry 1 is changed to 18. Okay. And for industry 2 is changed from whatever they have given, from 32 to 44. Okay, so let me write down what they have written in the question. So you have industry 1 and 2. Okay, so write 1 and 2 here. This is given in the question. So this is given 16, 8, 20, 40. Okay, and your final demand is suppose final demand is not given. Okay, and then you have been asked to find take out technology matrix and gross output. Okay, and your production x1 x2 when your final demand changes. Okay, so this is given to us, and then total output. Okay, let me write this thing. In the next question we will do that part. So this one is 4 and 32. Okay, so first thing they ask you, take out gross output. Okay, take out gross output, and you know how to calculate output. We will look at row. Okay, so this is the output of first industry used as an input in the first industry. This is the output of first industry used as an input for second industry. This is external demand for first industry. So we will add this thing, we will get output of first industry. This is 40. Okay. So gross output of first industry is 40. Now for second also, this will be the gross output. 80. So I will write down. Okay. This is X2. So this is the gross output of industry 140. This is the gross output for industry 2. Okay. So in examination they will give you this information. Okay, and ask you to find gross output, or they will give you this much information. Okay, now you have to find out your final demand. Okay, so this is your X production of industry 1, and this is your internal demand of industry 1. And I told you for industry 1 it will be X11. Okay, amount of output of industry 1 used by industry 1, amount of output of industry 1 used by industry 2 plus D1. D1 will be 0 in Knox economy model. Okay, so I need to find D1. Okay, because X1 is given here. This is X1. Okay, in the previous question this thing is not given. This thing is not given. So I have 1, 2, 3 information. 1, 2, 3 information. I take out this thing, gross demand X1 of industry 1. So what it will be? 40 equal 16 plus 20. So it will be 4. So D1 will be 4. Okay. Similarly, take out for 2. So you remember that thing. I write down this one. 1 second industry. 1 second industry. X11, X12, X21, X22. Okay. Here technology matrix is not given. Okay. So from this one we have to derive technology matrix. If technology matrix is given, we will not need to use this kind of information. Okay. So now for this one I will look this way. So it will be X21 plus, just remember, second row, first column, second column. Second row, first column, second column. Okay. X22 plus D2. This is gross demand. Because row represent your output demand for that respective industry. Column represent their consumption. Okay. So I know what is my X2, 40, 80. So 80 equal, this is 8. Just see the respective position. Okay. And this is 40 plus D2. So 48. This will be 80 minus 48. This will be 32. Okay. Check it. 48. Okay. So in examination, if one of the information is not given, from gross output you can take it out. From the formula gross output you can take it out. Okay. So this is first question. Now second question is construct technology matrix from this one. Construct input output matrix. This is also called input output matrix or technology matrix. Okay. Technology matrix from this one. Okay. Now, so this you have. I have to construct technology matrix. So I have to look at this part. So input. Okay. This is consumption of industry 1 from industry 1. This is consumption of industry 1 from industry 2. Right? And it uses this 2, then produces this much, 40. So industry 1 uses, okay, 16 unit of its own output to produce 40 unit of output, and 8 unit of second industry output to produce 40 unit of output. Okay. From this we can take out technology matrix. Remember, in order to produce X1 unit, you require X11 unit of output from industry 1. Okay. In order to produce X1 unit, you require X21 unit of output from industry 2. This is here what, 16. So and this is what, 40, right? So in order to produce 1 unit, you require 16 divided by 40. Okay. So in order to produce 1 unit, I'll put the number first, 40, and this is 8. So in order to produce 1 unit, you require 8 by 40. Okay. So this will give us A11, and this position is second row first column, A21, right? So we can take out like this. So next let's consider our technology matrix. So we know this thing, okay? This one is the consumption of first industry, okay? So I use this much from first industry to produce this much output. I consume this much from second industry to produce this much output for first industry. So I divide this by 40, okay? I will get my technology coefficient, okay? How much input I required from industry 1 for 1 unit of output of industry 1, how much input I required from industry 2 when I am producing 1 unit, okay? This A represents that thing. This is 16 by 40, 16 by 40, and this is 8 by 40. Similarly for industry 2, I take out 20 by 80 over 40 by 80. Okay, this is my technology matrix. Okay, so I got my technology matrix. So let me simplify this one. This you can write as so let me put from the notes, okay, directly in the number. This is my technology matrix, 16 by 5. So I will get, I will not write it here or what. Okay, I will not write it. Then let me do it here. So this is 2 by 5. This is 1 by 4. This is 1 by 5. This is 1 by 4. 1 by 2. Okay. This is problem I have. I have never made complete notes. Okay. So you get from this. Okay. So I rub this thing. Let it be there. This thing I can write on 0.4, right? This I can write 0.4. 0.25 1 divided by 4. 0.25. This is 0.2. 0.2. And this is 0.5. Okay. So construct input, output, or technology matrix. So I construct that thing. So in the book, they did not ask for checking Hawkins-Simons condition. I add that thing. Okay. So check for Hawkins-Simons condition. Question number 3. Okay, I love this thing. If required, I will write it again. Okay. I have constructed my technology matrix. Later on configuration, I have to use only this thing. This thing will not be required because when there is a change in final demand, I will just replace this with new demand 18 and 44. Okay. So, what is Hawkins? Simon condition. First is I minus A, determinant must be positive. Second, diagonal elements must be positive. Then only we have non-negative output in the equilibrium. Okay, we will have positive output in the equilibrium. Okay, so let's take out I minus A. Okay, determinant of I minus A. First condition I am looking at. This is 2 by 2 matrix, right? So 1 0 0 1 minus this is 0.4, 0.25, 0.2 and 0.5. Okay, so you will get 0.6 minus 0.25, then minus 0.2, then 1 minus 0.5 is 0.5. Check second condition, diagonal element must be positive of I minus A matrix, right? Okay, I minus A matrix. So this is my I minus A matrix, right? This diagonal element is positive, principal diagonal element. So this condition is satisfied. Now I have to take the determinant of this one. Okay, so determinant of I minus A is, this will be 0.3, 0 minus and you compulsory here, so 0.2 into 0.25 and I think 0.05. Okay, and you get 0.25. Let's check where they have. Okay, 0.2. So this is positive. So this condition is also satisfied, and diagonal element must be positive. Okay, diagonal element of I minus A matrix must be positive. So we have non-negative solution. Okay, so that means that we will have feasible solution at equilibrium. Okay, now so we have this thing. We have taken out I minus A matrix, this one. Okay, now they are saying that there is a change in finite demand. Okay, so demand question. Okay, so finite demand of both industry changes. Okay, so first industry, now demand is D1 is 18, and for second industry D2 it is 44. Okay, so this you have finite demand. Now so initially we have written how much input we are using, right? Now there is a change in finite demand. Okay, so we have to take out, okay, value of output of industry 1 and industry 2. Okay, because there is a change in finite demand, and you know how to take out, you know the formula, right? This thing, this is output, total production equal I minus A inverse into D. So if D changes, okay, given this my inverse function, okay, my production will change, production of industry 1 and industry 2 will change, right? So let me take out this thing and I will put this new demand here, then I will get my production at equilibrium where total demand will be equal to total supply. Okay, total production will be equal to total internal demand plus total external demand. Okay, D is changing. Okay, so we have to do this thing. So formula we know. Okay, we have to take out, again I have the formula, inverse of this thing. Okay, so in order to take out inverse of this matrix, we know it is 1 over determinant of this matrix I minus A and adjoint of this matrix. Don't get confused if I write I minus A. Okay, just consider this as A hat inverse. Okay, same thing, nothing. Once we have done this thing, it is simple, this matrix, and you know how to take out inverse of adjoint of that matrix. Okay, so we know this, we know this. Okay, this is 0.25 and this we know. So just put it to 1 over 0.25, and this is what? Let's write it out. 0.6 minus 0.25 minus 0.22 and 0.5. Okay, this is my I minus A inverse, and I know my X, this total production is equal I minus A inverse into D, right? So I multiply this by D. What is D? 18 and 44. Okay. This thing I have written, I need to multiply this by 18 and 44. Okay. So I will get the value of X1 and X2 for each industry, and this is my total production. Okay. So let's do that. So this you need to use calculator, then only it can come out. Okay. So let me put the number directly. Okay, wait. I need to take out adjoint of this number also, right? I just writing this thing. Okay. So I think that I have taken out adjoint of it. So let me take out adjoint of it also. Okay. This is not here. This is just I minus A. Okay. So adjoint of A is very easy, right? So this is your I minus A matrix. Okay. And you have, I put the value of determinant here only. So I take out this one. This is a problem using both. So this is your I minus A matrix. Okay. So adjoint of I minus A, 2 by 2 matrix is very easy. Change the position of principal diagonal elements. Okay. And change the sign of these two. Then you will get adjoint of A. Change the position 0.5, 0.6, and sign will change. So negative sign is there, so it will be positive sign. Okay. Just put it here. So it will be 0.5, 0.25, 0.2, and 0.6. Okay. So 1 over 0.5. So this multiply by this give me 9 plus 2.5, 2.5. This will be 11. Yeah. Multiply this with this will give you 11. This with this 3.6. Okay. 3.6 and 0.6 into 44 is 26.4. 26.4. Okay. So you get this thing. So this will be 20 and this will be 29, 30. 20 and this is 30. Okay. So I write down that. So you multiply these two. Adjoint of this I minus A matrix into D. Your new demand that is given to you. Okay. So this is 20 and this is 30. Okay. So when you put it here, it will come in the division. Just put it 20 divided by 0.25. This will be 0.25, right? So when you take out this thing, you will get 80, 120. Okay. So I rub this thing off. So your demand X1, X2 is 80 and 120. This we arrive after we know our final demand D to be 80 and 44. Okay. This is the solution. Okay. So I hope this is clear. You have your new final demand based on that thing. So I will give you 1 or 2 problems. Practice this thing, okay? And if there is any doubt, you people can contact me anytime, okay? So, and in your syllabus, you have 2 by 2 only, okay? You don't have 3 by 3. So just remember the rule, okay? Let me summarize the thing. Then it will be. I think it is clear already, but let me summarize it. What we have done. So, okay. So first, suppose in examination, this is given to you 0.2, 0.5, 0.6. 0.7, okay. This is given to you, x is given to you. Suppose 2 industry, because we are looking at 2 industry, and final demand is given to you 10, 20. Okay. So this is given to you. Now, from this, you can find the value of x1, x2. How? Let's look at, because your x is I minus a inverse into d, this is capital D. Okay. So what is my I minus a? Let's check. I just put a random question. Okay. I don't know whether solution will come out. So I minus a is 1001 minus, and we can check whether solution will come or not when I can check Hawkins-Simon condition. Okay. So this will be 0.2, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. Okay. So this will be, I write here 0.8 minus 0.5 minus 0.6. 1 minus 0.5. Okay. So you have this thing. So first condition or second condition in Hawkins-Simon condition satisfied. Now we have to take determinant of this I minus a. So what will be determinant? 0.24 minus 0.3. So determinant is coming out to be negative. Negative. This is minus 0.06. Okay. So this is negative. Hawkins-Simon condition not satisfied. So this, whatever solution we will get, it is not feasible solution. Okay. So we have done one example. We have just put up a random number, and once we apply the Hawkins-Simon condition, we know that this solution to this problem is not feasible. Okay. Just practice some 2 by 2 matrix. Okay. Take some random number and just check it. Okay. So let me summarize the one argument of input-output matrix. So input-output matrix is a general equilibrium analysis. Here we look at interdependency among industries, okay, and we are doing only 2 by 2 model. And here we are looking at a general equilibrium framework, but this is a simplified version, okay, simple version, and it only incorporate the production aspect. Okay, so this is one of the drawback or limitation of this model, but it is useful. Why it is useful? Because it is a quantitative measurement, and it is useful when we do empirical analysis. Okay, and given the assumption that we have taken from production side, what assumption we have taken? That each industry produces homogeneous product and they have constant return to scale. Okay, inputs, each industry uses fixed proportion of input per unit of output. Okay, and from demand side we have internal demand and external demand. If the industry is not providing any external demand, okay, that means that is a closed model. And if there is an external demand component positive, that means it is an open model. Okay, then this model is a static model, because on the variable that we have taken, okay, that variable refer to the same time period. So this is the introduction that we have done in the Newton model. Then we have constructed this thing 2x2 format for two industry. Okay, so this row represent, okay, output produced by industry 1, and I put the demand here. Okay, and this represent total output or respective industry, total output of respective industry x1, and this is x2. But x1 will be equal to, I will add this 3, I will get my gross demand. I will add this 3, I will get my gross demand for industry 2. So this is my x11, this is x12, this is d1. When I add it, I get gross demand. So if one information is not given, I can take out that information. Okay. Similarly, this is x second or first one. This is gross demand for industry 2. Okay. And from this, and when we look from column, this represent consumption. Okay. From row, we take out gross demand. Okay. Let me write down. From row summation, okay, we take out gross demand. We take out gross demand or gross output, better, gross output for each industry. Okay. So from row, first row represent first industry, second row represent second industry. From column, we get consumption of each industry. Okay. So if this is the consumption of first industry. Okay. If I want to construct input-output matrix, okay, I need to convert this in per unit term. So I will divide this by total output, this by total output. Okay. So I am able to construct my input-output matrix or technology matrix. Okay. So my technology matrix is A. Okay. And it is written A11, A12, A21, A22. Right. This is my technology matrix. So I have given you the logic of how to represent this total production equal total demand. The total demand equal divided into two parts. Divided into two parts. Your internal consumption demand and your external consumption demand. Okay. So from that logic that I have provided, this is your X total production. This is nothing but your 2 row 1 column matrix, X1, X2. Okay. And your internal demand we write by AX. Okay. This is A is 2 by 2 matrix, X is 2 by 1 matrix. Check video. Okay. In the same video I have done it. So this is A11, A12, A21, A22. Okay. And this will be X1, X2. Okay. And plus external demand D1, D2. Okay. This you know. This is your X equal A matrix into X plus D. So after looking at that thing, their order, okay, and applying the matrix rule, we are able to get X equal I minus A inverse into D. Okay. So for feasibility, okay, we need to check Hawkins-Simons condition. So first, when we are taking out I minus A, okay, So we are getting some number here. Okay. So first we get this thing. So diagonal element, check it. Okay. Diagonal element must be positive of I minus A matrix. I minus A matrix. Okay. If this is positive, then I will take out the determinant of this matrix I minus A. Like in the previous example, it's come out to be negative. So it not guaranteed that previous example that we will have a feasible solution for the system that we have taken. Okay. So we will check Hawkins-Simon condition. So suppose this is satisfied. In the previous example, this is not satisfied. Example before that, this is positive. Okay. So we want to see that what will happen, how the production of industry 1 and 2 changes when demand changes. So demand of industry 1 and industry 2 changes to 18 and 44 if I remember correctly. Okay. And I use this formula x equal to I minus A inverse into D. Okay. So this is the technology. This is a static model. Okay. Technology will not change. Demand changes, I will change the production. Simple model. Okay. Simple framework. Demand changes. Okay. Based on my given technology, I produce the output for industry 1 will produce output, industry 2 produce output. The total output must be equal to total demand. Okay. So simple framework. So just go through the video. Okay. I will give one problem to you people, one or two problem more, and practice it. Okay. And if there is any problem, contact me. Okay. And if there is some minor mistake, okay, just inform me also, so I can put up in the YouTube link also. Okay. There might be some minor mistake also. I don't know. Okay. So just practice this one, and on the previous lecture that